Clearly I've a weakness for horned wenches.
Lady Esney won't let us talk to strangers.
I do what I must.
Welcome to another episode of Gwenting Sessions, made by 0rfeus's, LLC.
What a patch it has been, am I right? Bomb Heaver removed from the game. I mean, he's technically still here, but look how they butchered my boy. Before we take a look at today's deck, let me just scroll through the changes real quick. The most obvious changes of patch 7.3 pertain to scenarios. All of them are now doomed, and artifact removals. All of them have been removed from the game, apart from Koratti Heatwave. But this actually means that Koratti Heatwave is more valuable card than ever before, and it just feels like these kind of changes are targeting some lockdown Nilfgaard decks, because those were pretty much the only ones using scenario 2 times in one match, with the only exceptions being meme decks. So with this, I kinda feel that a lot of ways to deal with scenarios, to deal with artifacts more so, have been removed, and that only means that the game is now even more limited when it comes to dealing with those kind of cards, and also the other way around when playing those cards. I don't think, like at all, that scenarios and artifacts were an issue to the balance of the game in the last couple of months, so I personally do not endorse these changes. I've already heard an opinion that trap cards are going to be more powerful now, as most of artifact removals are now gone. I've played my fair share of traps last season and I don't think so. Artifact removals were not pretty much an obstacle when playing traps. The thing with traps is you have to be super careful with playing each of them, and the current game simply does have even more valuable removals for the same provision cost, so playing traps, when it's much more harder to target a card you want to, will, in my opinion, still be a niche pick when it comes to competitive decks. Anyway, before we move on, I would like to tell something to Gwent developers. Do you understand life? Do you? Because you are tearing me apart, Lisa! Now, I don't want to sound like a bitter old man. I'm sure that Gwent developers has the best interests of the game and of its players in mind when making these changes. It's just, well, you tell me how you like it in the comments, please. I got kinda carried away. Let's take a quick look at the rest of the changes. Monsters. Ruehin is now Insectoid, so he can team up with Kikimor Queen, but Kikimor Queen was destroyed the patch before, so yeah. Morntard is now much harder to remove than before, as you can see. Skellige, now this I like, not. I love the Deran comment here, listen. Moreover, if you feel like you don't need his deploy ability, you can play him on melee row and get a 7-point unit. I mean, yeah, no shit Sherlock, I guess I'm gonna include him in my deck after all. Also, nerfs to Rage of the Sea, but as we will see in a minute, no changes to Nature's Gift, which is basically Rage of the Sea the other way around. Another nerfs to Uncrate Greatsword, the comment here. We like the new Greatsword a lot, but he is still a little bit too powerful. Really? Is he? He has a friggin' limit of 10 points! 10! What about Kerak Frigate then? What about Hamadryad? Northern Realms Shield Wall nerfed by 3 points. I'm okay with this pretty much. SCOIA'TAEL feign that scenario is now better. We will get to that later. In Nilfgaard, the most visible change, apart from general scenario debuff, is Palmerin the Longfall now gives adjacent units of his target spying. That's kinda interesting, since up to now he has been, along with Milton, one of the most useless cards in the game. especially when bearing in mind their provision cost. Also, minor Vryhev buff, so beware those Daedalum soldiers in certain situations. Syndicate Passiflora has been nerfed because now it spawns Slice Seductress on last chapter, not the first one. I mean, these changes are a mess. It's disorder. Disorder! Now let's take a look at today's deck, I think. With today's Deadeye Ambush SCOIA'TAEL deck, I kinda return to my roots. I'm pretty sure no one does remember this, but my very first video several months ago was a Deadeye Ambush. Although I played it differently back then. Now, let's take a look. This deck tries to capitalize on what most people hate about SCOIA'TAEL, their swarming potential along with mid-range capabilities of their decks, and the ability to quickly replace one unit with another. Strategy-wise, you aim for a long third round, where you can take advantage of most of your goals. They work the best way pretty much only when they are surrounded by a ton of their kinsmen. So, going into the first round, I'm really not that willing to commit. I played that Elven Swordmaster, both if possible. I played that Vernociel's Commando, both if possible. Except for Half-Elf Hunter and Vryhead Sappers, that can get really useful when dealing with defenders. I can commit any bronze that I want. But usually only one gold card goes in the first round. Do you know which one? Yeah, obviously, Aelirin. If you didn't win the first round, and honestly it might often be the case, and your opponent tries to bleed your deck out in the second one, you have to commit some gold for sure. But your swarming potential in this stage of the game is so big that you can easily get into card advantage, so even if you have to play like Yavin or Vernociel, it's not that big a deal. But obviously the full potential of this deck unlocks in the long decisive round. In here, you want to prepare ground for super strong Vernociel, preferably on the melee row, so you want to spawn as much Elven Deadeyes as you can. You've got Elias for that, and Half-Elf Hunter obviously, and Vayley, and your leader's ability, and obviously the reworked Feign Death scenario. It spawns one less Deadeye than it used to, but Vernociel's Commando in its place is really much better, and your opponent usually needs to spend a removal, sometimes a strong one, to deal with it. One pro tip though, don't ever play Feign Death on your ranged row. It can easily get overwhelmed by units and you need to place one of your strongest finishers there. Yes, I'm talking about Triss, summoning preferably a Bone Talisman to boost all of your units. The actual Bone Talisman is usually the last card I play. So with Triss, Bone Talisman and Isengrim, you're usually able to boost all of your units 3 times. And so it happens, not rarely, that you can end up with more than 100 points in the last round. So far, as you can see, I've already climbed with this deck from rank 3 to rank 2 in like 7 or 8 games, I think actually, because I've lost only 1. So I think it's just a matter of time before this deck will take me to pro rank again. But honestly, I think it's really good and you should try it out. I'm sticking with it when it comes to speed climbing so far.
It's time to drive the humans back to the sea. It's time to finally go on a killing spree.
But most importantly,
Let us sing the song of steel!
so let me show you the way how I play. Well, it's a relict shield wall.
Ha! Nothing like a
It's
dwarf
a
to
relic
get you
from
out of a
last
tight
season.
spot.
So, I don't think I faced shield wall yet in this new season, so this is gonna be perhaps interesting. And what do we have here? I don't feel like I need SCOIA'TAEL Neophyte and Bowman maybe. 1, 2, yeah, that's 5 elves. I don't need. Oh, okay, you know, let's play with these cards.
I was hoping you'd say
It's only a 7 though. So yeah,
None shall tread on us.
could have been a little better. Since I have 2 half-elf hunters in my hand already, I think I might be willing to sacrifice one of those. Kerak Frigate? No, I don't know this card. What is it? And he plays also... okay, man, okay.
Let us sing the song of steel.
By the way, do you know the song of the steel? It's steel, 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 I'm looking for a good time. Steel, 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 let's get ready for some love. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna be able to win this round.
Well, well.
Although not sure yet. I don't think I need to destroy him that much. I think I'm gonna keep Dryhead Dragoon on cards like Visogota maybe, if he's going the ordinary shield wall. Yeah.
What?
Here comes Aeliren.
Drive the ape men into the sea.
Yes. That's what I said.
left, right, left, right.
Or should I continue a little? I don't think he's gonna go for the bleed, or he might be going all in the second round, so yeah, I'm gonna pass. Already, yeah, I know.
To arms!
It was just 1 point. Yeah, but never mind. It might be the case, he's going all in the second round. I don't have Rhyhead Sappers to deal with his Donimir. I think... Is he gonna play Donimir right away? No, just a Trident.
Try them!
Oh! He plays Siri Nova. That doesn't make any sense. I think he's gonna pass now. Okay. Well, okay then. He still might be playing Donimir and Visogota. But not Prince Anseis, no Bloody Baron, No Viraxas, obviously. He may be playing Seltkirk though. Yeah, I thought as much. So, do I really need... Yeah, I have to commit the Right Dragoon here.
Peace with humans? I buy that.
Alright, but we are going into the long third round. And that's what I wanted from the start. So, unless he's really gonna surprise me with some moves like he did with Syrian Nova, I think we might be onto another win here. So what am I missing? Only Yewin and Sappers. But this is kinda nice actually. Alright, I'm gonna keep it. But he's still replacing his cards. Did he manage to replace his cards? I'm wondering. I think I might as well start with Vernosiel's commando here.
Shh. Do you hear? They approach.
I think his removals are like Seltkirk maybe, and that's it. And here comes Visogota. So unless he can move him on the last round back to ranged, I'm gonna log him and move him.
An ill wind blows.
And already 2 of his shield wall charges gone. Priscilla, really? Okay, he doesn't play Donimir, so I... Huh. I have to prepare a super fast Vernosiel here, I think. So yeah, let's go with Feign Death. On the melee row, obviously.
Then, don't budge.
And now he's gonna play like Dandelion, maybe? Well, this is an interesting take on a shield wall. But I don't think it's gonna work out for him. Or maybe it will? Not sure yet.
Nasty wounds, those. But you'll live.
Yeah, I think it will be hard for me to remove Priscilla now.
Ludivas, don't dare think you can escape.
Now he's gonna play Dandelion. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm at least gonna destroy Dandelion now, right now. Actually, this is kinda perfect. Yup.
Coexistence, no such thing.
Cursed racists.
Well, 3 shields, so that Vernosiel on melee row will not be as powerful. And a not good target for Elias either here. Maybe now Nathaniel Pastodi.
Now, satisfaction guaranteed.
Well, alright.
Love is war.
For the daisy of the valley!
4, 7 Elven Deadeyes. So 14, it will be 19 points of Vernociel, but it will be a little less because of those 3 shields. But maybe we will be able to do some damage.
Time for
6,
you to die, Dwan.
7.
Accursed racists.
Cast off your arms, then we'll talk.
Well, could have been better. I hope at least one of those units may have gotten destroyed, but still we are 26 points ahead. But yeah, he's got his engines running, except for Visogota. And Reynard, obviously, yeah.
Her Majesty is...
Now's the time for Isengrim.
No mercy!
And just like that, 32 points ahead. So, will this deck of yours be enough, my friend? I don't think so. Yeah, here comes Selkirk. So we got his deck out pretty much right. Oh no. Well, no Bone Talisman. That's really shameful. In this case, I'm gonna do Boiling Oil or on Selkirk, I think. Yeah. Only 30 points ahead now because we got really unlucky with 3 telekinesis here. But only 2 cards to go on his side. So what's it gonna be? No.
Right, well, thanks, I guess.
Come on, man. We're losing precious time here. Alright. He's getting closer. And here comes Isengard, obviously, yeah.
We'll find the princess and wait.
Alright. 98 points. Could have been better. It really could have been better. But I don't think he's gonna be able to pull off 32 points in one turn. Nah. So what is his finisher? Redanian Archer! Oh, shite. This I didn't see coming. Well, it was a much closer game than I hoped it would be. It was a good game. But we got really unlucky with Triss Telekinesis not creating a Bone Talisman. It sometimes happens if your opponent does have like a lot of special cards of his own in his deck. In this case, we've managed to win only by 16 points, but I assure you, it's gonna get better. At least I hope so. Let's play another. Oh, overwhelming hunger monsters.
Sense trouble.
Yeah, these were kind of decks I had the most troubles with. For some reason. For some reason, every new season starts, some monster overwhelming hunger decks appear. and they kinda always doing pretty good in a newborn meta. So yeah, it might be case that we will have a hard time in this particular matchup. But he's got the blue coin, ancient foglet, okay.
Death to humans!
Is he gonna go predatory dive? Oh, yeah, I really should have seen that coming. My bad.
Little ass. Don't dare think you can escape.
The APA Rion Phantom on board now. I think I'm just gonna go for the Aileron and then I'm gonna pass. But yeah, in that case I have to play 2 half-elf hunters. Yep.
Humans to the sea!
He played 2 7s and a predatory dive. I hate this card, it's so good. And he destroyed my commando with Parasite. His beast now is not able to boost itself further, at least on this particular turn, so no, bye. Well, this is not a bad draw. This is actually too good, so if he's not going... He's definitely not going to pass right away, am I right? And if I play like Elven Swordmaster, he's gonna go Miruna or Imperial Manticore. I'm gonna siphon the Imperial Manticore Miruna combo a little bit with playing SCOIA'TAEL Neophytes.
Now we will see who is weak.
Obviously. Is he gonna play like the scenario Haunt also?
May your sword and arm be one.
Igherren, really? Well, that's kinda interesting. Yeah, well... I'm gonna save Feign Death for my last finisher. So let's play Elias.
Weakness for horned wenches.
But maybe I'll have to play the Feign Death after all. You know, let's do it. Because he's going pretty much all in. And if he's gonna pass right now, he did a good job because I'm gonna be pissed. He did a good job. Oh yes, he did.
Cast off your arms,
To die.
then we'll
I'll
talk.
do so sword in hand.
Well, we're going into the last round on equal terms, 7 cards each. But I've committed 0rfeus's and Feign Death and Elias. Well, at least give me Yavin. Alright. Well, so few elves. Well, I don't feel like I need to purify here, I don't care.
I'm so tired.
Just perfect.
An ill wind blows.
For the daisy of the valley!
We were not the ones to start this war.
I don't think I'm gonna be able to win this one.
Time for you to die, Dwan!
He obviously still got Ozrael and Goliath and maybe something even more terrifying in his hand.
Elren has shown us the way. Right-head Sparley!
These are really poor boosts. These are sad days.
One warped.
Somehow we are 2 points ahead, but it's not gonna be enough. Eight points ahead. What? Really? I really didn't see us winning this game. He did a really good job going for the bleed in the second round. Wow, this is a pleasant surprise. Man, he's using the same card back. That's why I changed it last time. Alright, I think I'm gonna play one more because we are starting to get on a roll here. I made some questionable choices the last match, but it doesn't matter, a win's a win, but we're facing another shield wall.
Attack!
I was hoping for like some more interesting deck, but then again, the first guy played very different version of shield wall than the one we are all used to, so that was something else. This time we might be facing more ordinary decks. So in this case we also need Kiaran or something to deal with Visogota and maybe Viraxas if that will be the case. But he's been nerfed by 1 point.
Well, well, one white-haired freak to report.
Death to humans!
It's a 10-point Vryhead Vanguard for 5 provision cost. Should I really keep my moves with Vryhead Dragoon for later? Nah, I'm gonna keep Vryhead Dragoon.
Do you hear?
He may be playing Boiling Oil now. He was making sure if the boosting on Vernosios Commando works only on some row, but it doesn't matter if it's the melee one or a ranged one. Anna Stranger, yeah, I'm glad she's out of the way. And also 1 charge. Interesting. I'm gonna play my Aeliren and then I'm gonna just peacefully pass, I think.
Humans to the sea!
He's playing that Boiling Oil, isn't he?
Dark clouds gather over Temeria.
Well, let's continue just a little. Or, actually, he may be passing. So yeah, let's pass. Let's pass before he does that. He committed 1 charge. Out of 3. What is this? No feign death? Oh my. I'm missing at least 3 really necessary cards, maybe 4, maybe 5. Well, this is not a good draw. Like, at all. And here we go again.
Your tricks will not save you, Dwan.
Should I destroy him? Nah, not yet. Not just yet.
Till then, don't budge.
Left, right, left, right.
Peace with humans? A by that. sword! Those raised!
You're dead already. Go, Black Banner!
Oh, good lord.
Again and again and again.
Well, in this case, we might be committing a little more than we wanted to. I think it's time for 0rfeus's and maybe even Isengrim here. Maybe even leader charges.
Come forth, coward, and your own doom confront!
Alright. He did spend it all. Oh my.
For the daisy of the valley!
Only 5 of those. Yeah, whatever.
The forests are not yours!
Oh my.
I fail in Herria's Den Verde.
So, we are going into the last round with a card disadvantage. Unless I'm going to get feigned dead right now, and preferably Elias and Triss or something, it's gonna get really hard real soon. Well, let's see if we will manage to win this game even in a card disadvantage.
Let it forth, one! You stand no chance.
No audiences. King's Tower today.
Well,
Heroes are not to be trusted.
Elren has shown us the way.
and there will be no friggin' melee target. Not more Kerak frigates, am I right? So, what's it gonna be? Alright.
Finally.
I mean, no perfect Elias target, but
For the daisy of the valley!
I do what I have to do. And only 6 points of Isengrim. War Elephant. Oh good lord.
The only good human
So,
is a dead human.
we are 21 points ahead, but he still has 2 cards. Yeah.
These dogs have no honor.
I think this will be quite enough.
Victory is mine, whatever the cost.
Or, actually, we have won the game again in a card disadvantage. by 3 points only. Now I know. Man, what a game. I know, I promised that I will show you like 100 points of Did I Ambush SCOIA'TAEL, but I think these games are actually even more of a testament to the deck's strengths. So, well, this was some games, especially this last one. Card disadvantage and still victory. Guys, 3 games, 3 wins tonight, one of those in a card disadvantage. I mean, do you need any other proof that this deck is worthy of your attention? The worst that can happen is not drawing the Feign Death scenario, or if it gets destroyed right away, so beware that Koratti. So far I've seen only some Nature's Gift SCOIA'TAEL decks and some monster decks to be using them, but one never knows. Koratti might be just around the corner. Anyways, I want to sincerely thank all of you for watching. Please let me know in the comments what are your opinions on the new patch that came along yesterday with the new Season of the Cat. Also guys, please subscribe if you haven't already. And once again, this was 0rfeus's, and I'll catch you on the next one. That's right, no flip side this time. Keep the change, bye!